In today's Star Wars news update, we are diving into the future of the MandoVerse after The Mandalorian Season 3, including major updates on the Ahsoka Series, Skeleton Crew, The Mandalorian Season 4, the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, and everything else that could possibly lay beyond. This is a big one, so let's get going. Promotion for The Mandalorian Season 3 hit its all-time peak this week, with cast members and crew participating in many interviews and press events. Things really began picking up on Monday when showrunner and Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau spoke with BFM TV Inside, where he revealed that he has already finished writing The Mandalorian Season 4, saying,
Season 4, yeah, I've written it already. We have to know where we're going to tell a fully formed story. So we had mapped it out, Dave and I, and then slowly you just write each episode. So I was writing it during post-production, and that, because all of it has to feel like a continuation and one full story. And then he's doing Ahsoka, which I'm producing with him, but he's the writer showrunner on that. And so to understand what's happening on other shows or even Skeleton Crew, all take place in the same Star Wars time period. So there's a lot more things that we have to keep in mind, and stuff that we've built up to from previous seasons of The Mandalorian as well.
It comes as no surprise that Favreau has already completed writing the 4th season of The Mandalorian, as in May of 2022, he revealed that he was already working on this season. In October of last year, he also told Entertainment Weekly that he was still writing the 4th season, but now doing so with Skeleton Crew in mind when shaping Mando's next season. Past rumors pointed towards the 4th season of The Mandalorian filming this year, and shortly after Favreau's comments began making the rounds on Monday, MakingStarWars.net went on to report that The Mandalorian Season 4 is ready to go and will begin filming this October at Manhattan Beach Studios, California. MSW have added that new armor for Moff Gideon, Gideon-specific stormtroopers, and a new jetpack for Din Djarin have been or are being made by prop makers and costume designers. Now we jump forward to Thursday, when Favreau attended a screening of The Mandalorian Season 2's finale, hosted by Empire Magazine. Favreau also sat down for a brief Q&A, of which we got some more interesting answers in regards to the future of the MandoVerse. Though many quotes cannot be found online at this time, we've had to take the word of Twitter user Sif Zaki, who was in attendance. Zaki shared that the Mandalorian creator reaffirmed that The Mandalorian Season 4 had already been written, like he said days prior. But this time he confirmed that the 4th season is already in pre-production, backing up MSW's earlier leak. Favreau also said that he was currently in the process of looking at art created by Doug Chiang for Season 4. We finally land on the most recent Favreau interview. Dude has definitely had a busy week, this time with the Inside Total Film podcast. The topic of The Mandalorian Season 4 was of course brought up due to the comments Favreau made earlier in the week. Inside Total Film asked the mind behind The Mandalorian if we're now getting close to the end point of the series, with the 4th season preparing to enter production, and if he's got an ending in mind for the series, to which Favreau responded with, "No, I don't. I think the beauty of this is that it's a middle chapter of a much larger story. And though we'll have a resolution over time with these characters, I think that how these characters fit into the larger scope and scale, but it's not like there's a finale we're building up to that I have in mind, quite the contrary. I'd love these stories to go on, so these characters could potentially be with us for a while, and I really love telling stories in their voice, and I love the way the adventures unfold, and I'm looking forward to doing much more." And that's definitely a relief. I think I can speak for the majority of Star Wars fans in saying I'm in no rush to see The Mandalorian end. I could absolutely see this show carrying on and leading the charge for Star Wars for the foreseeable future. Sign me up for Season 5, Season 6, however many they want to make. It's definitely good to know how much of a long-term plan Favreau has for Din Djarin. But where would you like to see things go for the MandoVerse? Whether it's Season 3, Season 4, or another spin-off, drop a comment below or come chat in our brand new Discord server at the link in our description. As the news picked up for The Mandalorian Season 4, tidbits on a possible second season for the Book of Boba Fett also began to surface, with reports saying its production is on a similar timeline to The Mandalorian Season 4. In the same report where they revealed Mando Season 4 was going into pre-production, again, before it was confirmed by Favreau, MakingStarWars.net revealed a second season of the Book of Boba Fett may also be in pre-production, with work commencing on the cockpit of the Slave One and Boba's armor. MSW's sources working on the Fett-related material believe that they're preparing for a second season of the Book of Boba Fett, while other sources are working on The Mandalorian Season 4. It could be that these two productions are simply one and the same, and MSW's sources have their wires crossed, but even so, it likely marks a return of Boba Fett, whether that's in a second season of his own series or in The Mandalorian Season 4, after a possible appearance this season. MSW speculates that perhaps both The Mandalorian Season 4 and The Book of Boba Fett Season 2 will begin production around the same time, emulating the timeline of Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. For context, Ahsoka began filming in May of 2022, and Skeleton Crew started up in June of 2022, with the former wrapping in November and the latter in January. Without question, Lucasfilm likely have enough locations and space to film both series together, just as they did with Skeleton Crew and Ahsoka. It's likely that if this is all true, both The Mandalorian Season 4 and The Book of Boba Fett Season 2 could drop as early as 2025, in a year when Star Wars is also set to make its return to movie theaters. But before we get to The Mandalorian Season 4 and the potential Book of Boba Fett Season 2, there's still 2 more MandoVerse shows set to drop in 2023 after The Mandalorian Season 3 concludes. First up on that list is Ahsoka's live-action series. This week, Ahsoka Tano herself, Rosario Dawson, revealed to The Today Show that the Ahsoka series will likely come out in the fall, and that her focus in the summer will be promoting her Disney movie, The Haunted Mansion, which also stars Owen Wilson and Danny DeVito. The Haunted Mansion is set to release July 28th, meaning Dawson would likely begin her press tours and promotion afterwards, much like we're seeing right now with The Mandalorian Season 3. Elsewhere, it's being reported on forums that 2 Ahsoka Lego sets are also set to be released at some point in September. Usually Lego sets for the live-action Star Wars series and just movies in general release months later or around the same time as a show or a movie's release. It seems like a no-brainer that we'll get a release trailer at the very least come Star Wars Celebration in April, given Ahsoka is next up on the release calendar. During the Inside Total Film podcast we mentioned earlier, Jon Favreau also talked about Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. He was asked if Ahsoka will be interwoven with The Mandalorian, with Season 3 potentially setting up the Ahsoka series. Favreau responded claiming that he doesn't want either series to be completely interwoven, but characters could cross over due to the time period these series take place and the locations used. They will, quote, affect the other. Favreau added with Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew in post-production, he had an understanding of those series and where they're going when he was shaping The Mandalorian Season 4, and had conversations with Ahsoka's head, Dave Filoni, and Skeleton Crew showrunner, John Watts, during his writing process. Speaking briefly on Skeleton Crew, Favreau says he finds the series to be delightful, and that he believes fans are really going to connect with the series, praising co-creator John Watts for his way of storytelling from the point of view of children and young adults. Watts, of course, found great success with this in the past during the MCU Spider-Man trilogy starring Tom Holland and Zendaya, with Favreau adding that Skeleton Crew feels unique, as it'll showcase what it's like for young children living in the Star Wars universe. Another Skeleton Crew update happened to emerge this week with Sean Porter, the director of photography on the critically acclaimed and Academy Award-winning Green Book, has boarded Skeleton Crew, if the cinematographer's updated IMDb profile can be believed. Porter will supposedly be helming 4 episodes of Skeleton Crew's 8, with the other 4 parts falling to David Klein, who worked on 1 episode of The Mandalorian Season 2, The Tragedy, and is said to have worked on 4 episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3. Klein was also a cinematographer for 5 episodes of The Book of Boba Fett. Though it doesn't have a fixed release date, Disney and Lucasfilm are still touting Skeleton Crew to release sometime this year, with a December window, like The Book of Boba Fett 2 years ago, seeming more and more likely. The series, led by Jude Law, will follow a group of kids lost in the galaxy attempting to find their way back home. The series has drawn comparisons to Netflix's Stranger Things. Our final bit of news in relation to the future of the MandoVerse has actually got to do with Star Wars Celebration. In case you were unaware, Celebration Europe is set to hit London in early April. Celebration is essentially an all-Star Wars Comic-Con, and this year's edition looks to be huge, likely revealing to us when Star Wars will return to the big screen and which film that will be with. On top of that and the guaranteed trailers and new info relating to upcoming shows, it's almost certain that we'll get a new release slate for Star Wars shows, both MandoVerse and beyond. Buried within a long post on StarWars.com titled 5 Reasons to Go to Star Wars Celebration for the First Time, Lucasfilm revealed that following this year's convention, the next celebration will not take place until sometime in 2025. That means yes, next year will not feature a celebration event. Is that really a bad thing though? Maybe not. It's likely that this year Lucasfilm will update us on its 2 live-action series slated for release in 2024, The Acolyte and Andor Season 2, and will likely formally announce the movie from Watchmen writer Damon Lindelof, which is expected to be released in December of 2025. Skipping 2024, a year in which only 2 live-action projects are slated to release, and waiting until 2025, the year that Star Wars returns to the big screen, along with the potential Mandalorian Season 4 and Book of Boba Fett Season 2, will only increase excitement and anticipation for that event. This also means that in a couple months' time at Celebration, we could get official release dates, or at the very least more information on what's next for the MandoVerse from now until 2025. With The Mandalorian Season 3 about to begin and Celebration in the not-so-distant future, it's a hell of a time to be a Star Wars fan. But that about does it for today's MandoVerse update video. If you did enjoy, make sure to click the like button and subscribe if you are new to join the Red Squadron. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you. Red 5 standing by.